Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a story that's part epic, part tragedy, and entirely fascinating. The story of Israel's very first king, Saul. This isn't just an ancient tale. It's a powerful lesson about leadership, faith, and the often blurry line between what we want and what we actually need. So, picture this. For centuries, Israel had been a loose confederation of tribes, led by figures called judges. Think of them as charismatic military and spiritual leaders who would rise up in times of crisis. But the system was getting old. The sons of the last great judge Samuel were corrupt, and the people were tired of feeling vulnerable. They looked at their neighbors, the Philistines, the Ammonites, the Moabites, and saw powerful kings, impressive armies, and centralized power. And they thought, we want that too. The elders of Israel went to Samuel and laid it all out. Give us a king to lead us, they said, just like all the other nations. Now, this was a huge deal. It was a rejection of their unique identity and, in a way, a rejection of God as their ultimate ruler. Samuel was heartbroken and warned them about the true cost of a king. He told them a king would take their sons for his army, their daughters for his court, and their best land and crops for his own use. But the people wouldn't listen. Their minds were made up. So, God told Samuel to give the people what they wanted. And this is where our main character, Saul, enters the scene. Saul was from the tribe of Benjamin, one of the smallest and least powerful tribes. This was a strategic choice by God, likely to prevent jealousy among the larger, more dominant tribes. And Saul himself, he was the very picture of a king. The scriptures say he was a head taller than anyone else, incredibly handsome, and from a wealthy family. When the people saw him, they were immediately impressed. He looked the part, but his personality was a different story. Initially, Saul was incredibly humble. When Samuel first told him that he was God's chosen king, Saul's reaction was basically, "Who, me? My tribe is the smallest. My family is insignificant. You must have the wrong guy." When it was time for his public unveiling at Mizpah, he was so overwhelmed that he actually went and hid among the baggage. They had to go find him. This humility was a good sign, but it wouldn't last. The anointing itself was a deeply symbolic act. Samuel took a flask of oil and poured it over Saul's head, signifying that Saul was now set apart and empowered by God for this special task. This was it, the official birth of the Israelite monarchy. And at first Saul was a rock star. Almost immediately, the Ammonites besieged an Israelite town, and Saul sprang into action. Filled with the divine spirit, he rallied the tribes, organized a massive army, and led them to a decisive, crushing victory. The people were ecstatic. This was a leader. This was a king. His victory solidified his position, and any doubts about his leadership vanished. He united the people and gave them a sense of national pride and security they hadn't felt in a long time. Saul's early reign was marked by these kinds of military successes. He successfully pushed back against Israel's enemies, especially the ever-present threat of the Philistines. He established a standing army and brought a new level of organization and stability to the nation. From the outside, everything looked perfect. The people had gotten exactly what they asked for, a strong, charismatic king who could lead them in battle. But this is where the story takes a dark turn. The very thing that made Saul a great king in the eyes of the people, his decisive, take-charge nature, became his spiritual undoing. His humility began to fade, replaced by impulsiveness, impatience, and pride. The first major crack appeared during a campaign against the Philistines. The Israelites were terrified, and Saul's army was starting to desert. He was supposed to wait 7 days for Samuel to arrive and offer a sacrifice to God, which was a priestly duty. But Saul got impatient. On the 7th day, with Samuel nowhere in sight, Saul decided to take matters into his own hands and offered the sacrifice himself. It was a direct violation of God's command. Just as he finished, Samuel showed up and delivered a devastating message. "You have done a foolish thing. You have not kept the command the Lord your God gave you. Your kingdom will not endure." This was the beginning of the end. Saul had chosen his own judgment over God's clear instructions. But it got worse. Later, God gave Saul another direct command through Samuel. Completely destroy the Amalekites, a brutal enemy of Israel, including all their livestock. It was a harsh command, but it was a test of absolute obedience. Saul went to battle and defeated them, but he disobeyed. He spared the Amalekite king Agag and kept the best of the sheep and cattle, claiming he was going to sacrifice them to God. When Samuel confronted him, Saul was defensive. He tried to shift the blame, saying, "But the soldiers took the spoils to sacrifice to the Lord." Samuel's reply is one of the most famous lines in the entire story. To obey is better than sacrifice. God didn't want Saul's half-hearted offerings. He wanted his obedience. Because of this second blatant act of disobedience, God officially rejected Saul as king. The divine favor, the anointing, was removed. From this point on, Saul's reign spiraled downward. His relationship with God was broken, and he became a man tormented by his own insecurities. He grew paranoid and deeply jealous, especially of a young shepherd boy named David, who was secretly anointed by Samuel to be the next king. Saul's initial humility was replaced by a consuming rage and a desperate, pathetic attempt to cling to the power that was slipping through his fingers. he started relying on his own flawed wisdom and human strategies, completely cutting off the divine guidance that had once made him successful. Saul's story is a classic tragedy. He was a man who had it all: looks, strength, popular support, and even God's own blessing. He was given a golden opportunity to establish a dynasty and lead his people to greatness. But his failure to trust and obey God led to his downfall. His impatience, his pride, and his desire for the approval of men over the approval of God cost him everything. The story of Saul serves as a powerful cautionary tale. It shows us that leadership isn't just about looking the part or winning battles. True leadership, the kind that endures, is rooted in humility, integrity, and faithfulness to a higher purpose. Saul's rise and fall is a timeless reminder that ignoring divine wisdom in favor of our own desires can lead to tragic consequences. He got the king he looked like, but he wasn't the king his heart needed to be. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as compelling as I do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history and faith. Let me know in the comments what you think about Saul's story. Was he a tragic hero or a flawed leader who got what he deserved? I'd love to hear your thoughts. See you in the next one, and God bless.